Police here say that a manhunt is currently underway for possible perpetrators. Again, they're not sure whether or not this car rammed deliberately into that group of people or whether or not this was some sort of accident. But certainly the police, as you can see, are treating all of this very seriously. I want to set the stage for you here because this is actually a massive response. This is obviously a mass casualty event that the authorities here have called out. You can see that there's a lot of fire trucks, ambulances that are here. We're actually right in the center of Berlin. The area that the camera is pointing to right now is called the Tiergarten, which is very near to where that Pride parade was taking place. And you can see that there's also a lot of police cars here. Certainly a lot of people have been brought to ambulances. There's one tent that we saw which seemed to have folks who might have been casualties of this event. We saw them with sort of blankets wrapped around themselves, going into what seems to be a medical tent. But as you can see, there's a lot of police cars. There's also a lot of ambulances that are on the scene here, a lot of first responders as well. I can tell you that the hospitals here in this region have obviously called this a mass casualty event as well. And all of the doctors and other medical staff there are also not just on standby, but of course, many of them also involved here in this response. Right now, the police are saying that there's well over a dozen people who are injured, some of them with life-threatening injuries. And you were already alluding to the fact that the police are now saying that at least one person has been pronounced dead. That, of course, is a number that unfortunately could continue to rise as some people apparently have sustained some very severe injuries. Now, what the police are saying is that all of this happened at shortly before 10 p.m. local time. Right now, we're at 1 a.m. local time, so a little over 3 hours ago, when a white van plowed into a crowd of people and then apparently came to a standstill when it hit a tree. The driver appears to have fled. The people who were inside the van appear to have fled. Right now, the police are saying that there's a manhunt ongoing for a possible perpetrator or a group of perpetrators. It's unclear how many people were actually inside that van when it plowed into that group of people. As you can imagine, the folks who were sort of around the scene here, again, this is really just a couple of feet away from where all of this happened. Obviously, a lot of them are in shock. Some people talking about the fact that they heard this loud bang as, of course, this parade was going on, as a lot of people were trying to, have a good time here, have a party here, and that then there was an immediate police response to all of that. Right now, as you can see, the area here in central Berlin, we're really only a couple of hundred yards away from the Brandenburg Gate, from the German parliament, on absolute lockdown, as the police are saying they are still on the search for the people who were inside that van when it plowed into that group of people. Again, at this point in time, the Berlin police are saying they are not sure whether or not this was done deliberately, what a sort of motive may have been, or what exactly is behind all of this. But of course, you can ascertain, and what you can see here is that this is definitely a massive event that took place here on a Saturday night.